I was sitting in my own living room when my son Derek looked at me with eyes colder than winter and said the words that shattered my world. "Mom, I'm tired of you. So is Amanda." He stood in front of the television I was trying to watch, arms crossed, blocking my view like I was the one invading his space. His wife appeared in the kitchen doorway, arms folded, nodding in silent agreement. This was my house, the house I bought with Harold's life insurance money after he died 6 years ago. And my son just told me I was the burden. I sat there frozen, unable to speak, unable to breathe. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might crack right through my chest. Derek didn't apologize. He didn't soften his expression or take back those cruel words. He just turned on his heel and walked down the hallway to the master bedroom. My bedroom. Well, it used to be mine. I gave it to them 2 years ago when they moved in, supposedly temporarily, while they saved money for their own place. I took the smallest bedroom, Derek's old childhood room, because I thought I was helping. Amanda followed him without a word to me, and I heard the door close firmly. Not slammed, just closed. Somehow that felt worse. A slam would have been emotion, passion, anger. The quiet click was dismissal. I didn't matter enough to slam a door over. I sat alone in the dark living room as the television flickered with some show I could no longer focus on. My hands were trembling in my lap. I kept replaying his words. "I'm tired of you. So is Amanda." Like I was some exhausting house guest who had overstayed her welcome. In my own house. The thing is, I could hear them talking through the walls. Our house was built in 1973, and the walls were thin. I heard muffled conversation, then laughter. They were laughing. I had just been told I was a burden, and they were laughing about something on their phones or television, already moved on from breaking my heart. Memories flooded through me like a dam breaking. Derek as a little boy, maybe 5 years old, holding my hand at the grocery store. Derek at 8, crying when his father walked out on us, and me promising him everything would be okay. Derek at 17, when I worked 2 jobs to pay for his college applications. Derek at 22, graduating, and I was there in the audience crying with pride. Derek at 30, marrying Amanda, and I helped pay for the wedding because they were young and struggling. And now Derek at 32, looking at me like I was nothing. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in the small bedroom that used to be decorated with his baseball posters and spelling bee ribbons, staring at the ceiling, listening to them watch television in the master bedroom until past midnight. The master bedroom with the attached bathroom and walk-in closet. They had the space and comfort while I was crammed in here with barely enough room for a dresser. When had this happened? When had I become invisible in my own home? I started noticing things I'd been too blind or too hopeful to see before. Amanda rolling her eyes when I spoke at dinner. Derek forgetting to invite me to his company barbecue last month. The vacation they took to Florida in March, without even mentioning it to me until they were packing the car. How they used my car without asking, just taking the keys off the hook like it was theirs. How they ate the groceries I bought but never replaced anything. How Amanda rearranged my kitchen cabinets and told me my system was inefficient. Little cruelties. Death by 1,000 cuts. But here's what I remembered at 3 a.m, wide awake and hollow. I bought this house. After Harold died and the life insurance came through, I bought this 3-bedroom ranch house in a decent neighborhood in Ohio. I paid cash. The deed was in my name only, not Derek's. Mine. Derek and Amanda had contributed exactly nothing. No rent, no groceries, no utilities. They had been living here for 2 years, completely free, while I paid for everything on my fixed income and Social Security. By 6 a.m, I was already awake. I made coffee in the quiet kitchen while they slept in. My hands were shaking as I poured the water into the machine, but something had shifted inside me during that sleepless night. The hurt was still there, raw and bleeding, but underneath it was something harder, something that felt like steel. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and opened my banking app. The house was paid off. $350,000 in equity, every penny mine. I looked up real estate agents in our area, scrolling through smiling faces and sales statistics. Then I found her. Martha Greenfield. I knew Martha from church. She was kind, professional, in her early 50s with grown children of her own. I trusted her. My finger hovered over her phone number. Was I really going to do this? I thought about Derek's face last night. The coldness. The contempt. I dialed. At 8 in the morning, Derek and Amanda were still asleep. I spoke quietly into my phone in the kitchen, my voice barely above a whisper. Martha, it's Allison Hartford, from church. I need to ask you something, and I need you to keep it confidential. There was a pause. Of course, Allison. What's going on? I need to sell my house. Quickly and quietly. Another pause. Longer this time. Allison, is everything all right? I looked down the hallway toward the closed master bedroom door. I need a fresh start, Martha. Can you help me? Yes, she said, without hesitation. Yes, I can. When can we meet? Today, this afternoon. Derek and Amanda both work. They'll be gone from 9 to 5. I'll be there at 3. I hung up and sat in the morning light, streaming through the kitchen window. The window I'd hung curtains in, the kitchen where I'd made thousands of meals, the home where I thought I'd grow old. But home isn't a place where people make you feel small. Home isn't where your own child tells you he's tired of you. Martha arrived at exactly 3 o'clock. I watched from the window as she pulled up in her sedan, carrying a leather portfolio. She gave me a hug at the door, and I nearly broke down right there. Let's talk, she said gently. We walked through the house room by room. Martha took notes, measurements, photos. She commented on the good bones of the place, the updated kitchen I'd renovated 5 years ago, the new roof from 3 years back. She was professional and thorough. When we finished, we sat at my kitchen table. Martha pulled out a market analysis. Based on comparable sales in this neighborhood, I'd estimate your home's value at around $350,000. But Allison, she paused, looking at me carefully. Does your son know you're selling? I shook my head. Martha's expression grew concerned. Honey, this is your house? Legally? The deed is in your name? Yes. I bought it 6 years ago after my husband died. Derek isn't on the title. He's never paid a penny toward it. Martha nodded slowly. I have a client, an investor named Mr. Patterson, who's been looking in this neighborhood. He buys houses for cash, no inspection, quick close. He usually offers below market value because of the convenience factor. But Allison, I can probably get you a cash offer within 48 hours. The whole transaction could be done in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I repeated. 14 days until I was free. But Allison, Martha's voice was serious now. Once we do this, there's no going back. Are you absolutely sure? I looked around the kitchen. I saw Harold standing at the stove making his terrible scrambled eggs. I saw Derek as a teenager, doing homework at this table. I saw Christmases and birthdays and ordinary Tuesday evenings. Then I remembered last night. I'm tired of you. I'm sure, I said. Let's do it. Martha called the next morning while Derek and Amanda were getting ready for work. I was in the backyard, pretending to water the flowers, my phone pressed to my ear. Allison, I spoke with Mr. Patterson last night. He'll pay $325,000, all cash, closing in 2 weeks. It's $25,000 below market value, but it's guaranteed and fast. $325,000. A little less than I'd hoped, but freedom doesn't have a price tag. I accept, I said. I'll draw up the papers. We can sign everything at my office. Just let me know when you're available. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. A secret keeper, a planner, a woman with a hidden agenda. Every day while Derek and Amanda were at work, I packed a little more. I started with things they'd never notice. My winter clothes, packed in summer, books from the back of the shelf, photo albums from the hall closet, Harold's tools from the garage that Derek never used, my mother's jewelry box, important documents, birth certificates, marriage license, Harold's death certificate, my will. I carried boxes to my car, and drove them to a storage unit. I'd rented 3 towns over. Unit 42 at Save More Storage, a 10 by 10 space that slowly filled with my life. I was careful, methodical. I took only what was mine and what mattered. The couch could stay. The television could stay. But my grandmother's quilt, Harold's pocket watch, the photo of my parents on their wedding day, these came with me. One evening, Derek came home early from work. I was in the kitchen making dinner when he walked in, loosening his tie. "Mom, why was some real estate lady here the other day?" Neighbor mentioned seeing someone taking pictures of the house. My heart stopped. I forced my face to stay calm, my voice steady. "Oh, that was Martha from church. She just stopped by to drop off a casserole. Must have been taking pictures of her garden for something." Derek looked at me for a long moment. I couldn't tell if he believed me. Then he shrugged. "Okay, what's for dinner?" After that, I was more cautious. I coordinated with Martha to meet only at her office. All communication went through email, never phone calls during the day. All showings and appraisals happened through the investor, Mr. Patterson, who didn't need to see inside since he was buying as is. Meanwhile, life at home continued in its painful rhythm. Derek and Amanda barely spoke to me. We existed in the same space like ghosts passing through walls. They ate dinner in their bedroom. They left dishes in the sink for me to clean. They acted like I was the housekeeper, not the homeowner. But I didn't complain. I stayed quiet and invisible, just as they wanted, because I had a plan, and every day brought me closer to freedom. I found a 1-bedroom apartment 30 miles away in the next county. Small, affordable, with cream-colored walls and a view of a park. The landlord, a woman named Carol in her 40s, was kind and didn't ask too many questions. I signed the lease, paid first and last month's rent from my savings account. Move-in date, the Monday after closing. Everything was falling into place like dominoes lined up perfectly, just waiting for that first push. The closing was scheduled for a Friday at 10 in the morning. Derek and Amanda would both be at work. I'd sign the papers, collect my check, and the house would no longer be mine. Mr. Patterson, through Martha, agreed to give me until Monday to fully vacate. 3 days to remove the last of my belongings and disappear. 2 weeks passed in a blur of secret preparations. My storage unit was nearly full. My apartment was ready. My bank account had room for a large deposit. I'd found a moving company that could come on Saturday to collect my bedroom furniture and the few remaining items I wanted to keep. Thursday night, I barely slept. Tomorrow was closing day. Tomorrow, I'd sign my name, and everything would change. Friday morning arrived with bright sunshine. Derek and Amanda left for work at 8:30, same as always. Amanda didn't say goodbye. Derek grunted something that might have been a farewell. The door closed behind them. I showered, dressed in my nicest slacks and blouse, and drove to Martha's office. The title company was in a strip mall between a sandwich shop and a tax preparation service. Inside, the air conditioning was cold enough to raise goosebumps on my arms. A receptionist led me to a conference room where Martha waited with a man in his 60s, silver-haired and wearing reading glasses. "Allison, this is Mr. Patterson." He stood and shook my hand. His grip was firm but gentle. "Mrs. Hartford, pleasure to meet you. Martha's told me a bit about your situation. I want you to know I'll take good care of the house." Something about his kindness made my eyes sting with tears. "Thank you." Saturday papers appeared. The title officer explained each document in a calm, practiced voice. I signed my name over and over. Allison Hartford. Allison Hartford. Allison Hartford. And then it was done. The title officer handed me a cashier's check for $325,000. I stared at it. 6 figures. My entire life compressed into a single piece of paper. Mr. Patterson stood. "Mrs. Hartford, Martha mentioned you need until Monday to move out." "That's fine. Take your time. I'm in no rush." "You're very kind," I managed to say. He smiled. "My mother was in a similar situation once. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is start over. Good luck to you." After they left, Martha hugged me tight. You did it, Allison. The hard part's over. But as I drove home that Friday afternoon, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, I realized the hard part might just be beginning. I pulled into the driveway at 2 in the afternoon. Derek's car was there. He was home early. He was never home early. My stomach dropped. I walked in through the front door, my purse clutched in my hand, the cashier's check folded inside. Derek was standing in the kitchen holding a large manila envelope. His face was dark with fury. "Mom," his voice was cold and sharp. "What is this?" It was a letter from the title company, confirming the sale. They must have sent it to the house address as a courtesy notification. My secret was out. Derek ripped open the envelope and pulled out the letter. His eyes scanned it, wider and wider with each line. Amanda appeared from the bedroom, saw his face, rushed over. "You sold the house?" Derek's voice was rising, disbelief mixing with rage. "You sold our house?" Amanda grabbed the letter from his hands, read it, and her mouth fell open. "You can't do this. We live here." I stood in my own doorway, my own home that was no longer mine, and felt something shift inside me. Fear dissolved into something stronger. "It's my house," I said quietly. "It was always my house. You made it very clear you're tired of me, Derek, so I'm leaving, and so are you." Derek's face turned red, the way it used to when he was a little boy throwing tantrums. But this wasn't a child's frustration. This was a grown man's rage. "You're insane!" he shouted. "You can't just sell a house people are living in. That's illegal." "I can sell my own property," I said, forcing my voice to stay level even though my knees were shaking. "You never paid rent. You're not on the lease. You're not tenants. You're guests. And I'm asking you to leave." Amanda's face was twisted with fury. "This is evil. You're evil. How can you do this to your own son? How could he tell me he's tired of me in my own house?" I shot back, and my voice cracked. Derek stepped toward me, not threatening exactly, but intimidating. "You can't evict us without notice. We have rights. I'll sue you." "Sue me with what money?" I asked. The words came out before I could stop them. Derek's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I just walked past him to my small bedroom and closed the door. I heard him shouting on the other side, but I sat on the edge of my bed and put my head in my hands. The evening was a nightmare. Derek and Amanda slammed doors, had furious whispered conversations, made phone call after phone call. I heard Derek talking to his aunt, my younger sister Janet. "Aunt Janet, you need to talk to Mom. She's lost her mind. She sold the house, our house. Where are we supposed to go?" 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Janet's name lit up the screen. I answered. "Allison, what is wrong with you?" Janet didn't even say hello. "Derek just called me in tears. How could you do this to him?" "Did he tell you what he said to me?" I asked. "Oh, please. Everyone argues with their parents. You're being vindictive and cruel. He has a wife, Allison. Where are they supposed to live?" "That's not my problem anymore. You're his mother." And he told me he's tired of me. In the house I paid for. That I gave them for free. "You're overreacting," Janet said. "You need to reverse this sale immediately." "I can't. It's done." "Then you're choosing to destroy your relationship with your son. Don't expect me to support this." She hung up. I sat in the dark, phone in my lap, feeling the family I had left crumbling around me. Saturday morning, I woke to noise. Crashing sounds from the kitchen. I rushed out to find food thrown everywhere. Cereal dumped on the floor, eggs smashed against the cabinet, milk pooled on the countertop. Derek and Amanda were sitting in the living room, watching television, ignoring the destruction. "What happened?" I asked, though I knew. "Oops," Amanda said without looking at me. "We had an accident. Clean it up." "It's not our house anymore, is it?" Derek said coldly. "So it's not our problem." I cleaned it alone, 59 years old, on my hands and knees, wiping up eggs and milk, while my son watched television 15 feet away. After I finished, I went to my room to pack more of my belongings. But when I tried to take a box of my dishes from the kitchen, Derek blocked me. "Those are ours. We bought those." "No, you didn't." I've had these since before you were born. Prove it. Amanda joined him. That lamp? Ours. Those towels? Ours. The dishes? Ours. They were stealing from me, right in front of me, claiming ownership of things that were mine, and I couldn't prove otherwise. What was I going to do? Show them receipts from 30 years ago. I called Martha, shaking and crying. Can I change the locks early? Oh, honey, I wish you could, but the house doesn't officially transfer until Monday, and even then, they might claim squatters' rights if they refuse to leave. You might need to go through formal eviction proceedings. How long would that take? Months, potentially. I felt the victory slipping away. This was supposed to be over. Instead, it was getting worse. Saturday evening, Janet arrived. But she wasn't alone. She brought Derek's cousin Brian and his wife Susan. They staged what Janet called an intervention. We sat in my living room like it was some kind of trial. Me on one side, the four of them on the other. Derek and Amanda played their parts perfectly. Aunt Allison, Brian started, his voice dripping with condescension. This is really cruel. Derek is family. You're treating him like a stranger. Susan chimed in. My parents would never do something like this to me. Family takes care of family. I tried to explain. I tried to tell them about the cruelty, the coldness, how Derek told me he was tired of me. But Janet cut me off. Everyone says things they don't mean when they're stressed. Derek's been under a lot of pressure at work. You're being oversensitive. Derek was crying now. Actually crying. I love my mom. I don't understand why she's doing this. We were going to move out next month anyway. We had a plan. This was a lie. They never mentioned moving. But I couldn't prove it. Amanda added her tears to the performance. We've been looking at apartments. We just needed a little more time to save up. Mrs. Hartford didn't give us a chance. They were good. They were convincing. And my family believed them. Janet's final words cut the deepest. If you go through with this, Allison, don't expect to be welcome at Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or any family gatherings. You'll have made your choice. They left me sitting alone in the wreckage of my family's love. Late Saturday night, I woke to shouting. I opened my bedroom door and saw Derek and Amanda carrying furniture out the front door. My couch, the one Harold bought me for our 20th anniversary, sage green with soft cushions. What are you doing? I rushed out. Derek didn't even pause. You're leaving anyway, right? We need furniture for wherever we're going. You owe us that much. That's my couch. Sue me. I watched them load it into a U-Haul truck they'd rented. My dining table next. The chairs Harold refinished by hand. My bedroom furniture from the master bedroom. Lamp after lamp. The television. I called 911, hands shaking. 2 police officers arrived 20 minutes later. By then, half my furniture was gone. I tried to explain. This is my house. That's my furniture. They're stealing from me. The older officer looked tired. Ma'am, do you have proof of ownership? Receipts? Some of this furniture is 30 years old. Do they live here? Yes, but it's my house. I own it. Ma'am, this is a civil matter. These are family members who reside in the home. We can't arrest them for moving furniture from their residence. You'll need to take this to small claims court. Derek stood behind the officer, and I swear I saw him smirk. By midnight, they'd taken half of everything I owned. I sat on the floor of the empty living room, the carpet indented where my couch used to be, and cried until I had no tears left. My solution was creating a crisis worse than the original problem. I'd sold the house to escape them, but now I was losing everything else too. And the police wouldn't help. My family wouldn't help. I was completely alone. Monday morning arrived, and I was already exhausted. I'd barely slept, curled up on the floor of my empty bedroom with a blanket because they'd taken my bed frame and mattress. At 9 in the morning, Mr. Patterson arrived with a locksmith. He looked shocked at the state of the house. Furniture gone. Holes in the walls where Derek had punched them in anger. Carpet stained and damaged. Derek and Amanda were still inside. They'd called in sick to work. they refused to leave. "I'm not going anywhere," Derek said, arms crossed, standing in the middle of the living room. "Talk to my lawyer." He handed me papers, legal documents. My hands shook as I read them. A request for a temporary restraining order against me. An emergency motion claiming I was mentally unfit and that the house sale should be invalidated. A petition for guardianship. Derek was suing me. My own son was trying to have me declared incompetent. Mr. Patterson looked furious. "I paid cash for this house. The sale is final. Not if my mother doesn't have the mental capacity to sell it," Derek said smoothly. "We'll see what the judge says." The locksmith refused to change the locks with people still inside. "It was a legal liability," he explained apologetically. Mr. Patterson left angry, threatening his own lawsuit against me for fraud. I was trapped between Derek's legal action and Mr. Patterson's justified fury. The $325,000 check was still in my purse, but I couldn't deposit it, couldn't touch it, until this was resolved. I found a lawyer that afternoon, Gregory Walsh, 56 years old with gray temples and tired eyes. His office was in a strip mall, wedged between a nail salon and a vape shop. Not prestigious, but he practiced elder law and came recommended online. Gregory read Derek's petition with a deepening frown. "Your son is claiming you have diminished capacity, dementia, that you're making irrational decisions. He has declarations from family members." He showed me. Janet's statement. "My sister Allison has been forgetful lately, confused about dates, making impulsive decisions." Brian's statement. "Aunt Allison seems paranoid, claims people are mistreating her when they're trying to help." Susan's statement. "She's isolated herself, won't see friends, acts irrationally." All lies. But on paper, they looked convincing. "Do you have any medical conditions?" Gregory asked. "Memory problems? Cognitive issues?" "No. I'm 65 years old and my mind is perfectly clear." "We'll need to prove that. I'm going to order a neurological evaluation, and we need evidence showing Derek's true motivations for this lawsuit." "How much will this cost?" "My retainer is $5,000. The evaluation will be another $1,500. Court costs, filing fees, possibly expert witnesses." He paused. "This could get expensive." I paid the retainer with my dwindling savings. The account that was supposed to support me in my new apartment was being drained by legal fees. The court hearing was scheduled for Thursday, 4 days away. Tuesday, I saw the neurologist Dr. Raymond Chen. Ironic that his last name was Chen, given the name restrictions, but he was the doctor Gregory recommended. He put me through 3 hours of cognitive testing, memory exercises, problem-solving puzzles, questions about current events, math problems, word association. I passed everything perfectly. Dr. Chen wrote a letter. "Mrs. Allison Hartford shows no signs of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished capacity. Her memory is excellent, her reasoning is sound, and she demonstrates clear understanding of complex financial and legal matters." But Gregory warned me. "Derek's lawyer will argue you're having a lucid interval, or that grief over your husband is impairing your judgment. They'll twist this." Wednesday, Gregory's private investigator delivered his findings. Derek's financial records, obtained through legal discovery. Credit card debt, $83,000. Amanda's student loans, $59,000. Lawsuits from 2 creditors for unpaid debts. They were drowning financially. They needed my house. Needed to live there rent-free forever. Needed access to my money. This was the evidence Gregory needed. But Wednesday afternoon, Derek's lawyer filed another motion, a request to freeze the $325,000 from the house sale pending the outcome of the guardianship hearing. The judge granted it. My money was locked. I couldn't access it. Couldn't pay my rent on the apartment I was already leasing. Couldn't hire movers. Couldn't do anything. Thursday morning, the courtroom was packed. Janet was there, Brian and Susan, Derek and Amanda dressed conservatively, looking like respectable young victims. Derek's lawyer was a sharp woman in her 40s named Patricia Rollins, expensive suit, confident smile. I sat next to Gregory, feeling small and old and defeated. Patricia called her witnesses first. Janet testified about my supposed confusion. Brian talked about my paranoid claims. Susan described my isolation and poor judgment. Then Derek took the stand. He was brilliant. Tears rolling down his face, voice trembling, describing his beloved mother who'd changed since his father's death. How he'd tried to help her, but she pushed him away. How worried he was about her impulsive decision to sell the family home. "I love my mother," Derek said, wiping his eyes. "I just want her to get the help she needs." Amanda testified next, painted herself as the concerned daughter-in-law, terrified to leave me alone, afraid I'd hurt myself. The judge, a woman in her 60s named Judge Carolyn Martinez, watched with sympathetic eyes. Then it was our turn. Gregory presented Dr. Chen's evaluation. The judge read it carefully. Gregory presented Derek's financial records, showed the debt, the lawsuits, the clear financial motive. "This appears to be a financial dispute, not a mental health crisis," Judge Martinez said slowly. I felt a flicker of hope. Then Patricia played her final card. "Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence." She played an audio recording. Derek had secretly recorded me Saturday night, after they'd stolen my furniture. On the recording, I was crying, sobbing, my voice broken and desperate. My own voice filled the courtroom. "I can't take this anymore. I just want this to end. I wish I was dead. I want to be with Harold. I can't do this." The courtroom went silent. Patricia's voice was gentle, concerned. "Your Honor, Mrs. Hartford is clearly in severe emotional distress. She's expressing suicidal ideation. She needs psychiatric help, not legal proceedings." Judge Martinez looked at me with pity. "Mrs. Hartford, have you been feeling suicidal?" "I was upset," I said. "They'd just stolen my furniture. I was overwhelmed. I didn't mean it literally, but the damage was done." Judge Martinez made her ruling. "I'm ordering a comprehensive psychological evaluation by a court-appointed psychiatrist. All assets, including the proceeds from the house sale, are frozen for 30 days pending the results of that evaluation. This court is adjourned." Derek smiled as we left the courtroom. He didn't care about guardianship. He'd bought himself 30 more days in the house. 30 more days to figure out how to keep it permanently. I walked out into the parking lot, Gregory beside me, and felt like I'd lost everything. "We'll fight this," Gregory said. "The psych evaluation will clear you. But 30 days. 30 days of frozen money. 30 days of paying rent on an apartment I couldn't move into. 30 days of living in a house that wasn't mine anymore, with people who hated me. I'd tried to save myself, and instead I'd fallen into quicksand, sinking deeper with every struggle." The court-appointed psychiatrist was Dr. Eleanor Bradley, a calm woman in her early 50s with gray-streaked hair and gentle eyes. Her office smelled like lavender and had abstract paintings on the walls. Over 2 hours, she asked me about everything: Harold's death, my grief, my relationship with Derek, the decision to sell the house, my family's reaction, that terrible moment on the recording when I said I wanted to die. I told her the truth, all of it. How Derek's words had shattered me, how they'd treated me like a burden, how they stole my furniture while I watched helplessly, how the pain had been so intense in that moment that I'd said things I didn't mean. "Are you suicidal now?" Dr. Bradley asked. "No, I'm angry, I'm hurt, but I'm not suicidal. I want to live. I want to be free." She took notes, her expression neutral. "I'll submit my report to the court within 1 week. 1 week, 7 more days of limbo." Meanwhile, Derek had launched a public relations campaign. He posted on social media, on neighborhood groups, everywhere he could think of. "My mother is suffering from mental illness and sold our family home. Please keep her in your prayers." He shared photos of himself and Amanda looking sad and displaced, standing in front of the house with suitcases, though they were still living there. Someone created a GoFundMe, "Help Young Couple, Displaced by Family Crisis." The description painted Derek and Amanda as victims of a mentally unstable mother who'd left them homeless. They raised $12,000 in 3 days. People I'd known for years believed Derek's lies. Friends from church stopped calling. Neighbors who used to wave now looked away. Someone spray-painted the word shame on my mailbox in red letters. I scrubbed it off alone, crying, while Derek and Amanda watched from inside the house. I was still technically living there, still trapped in my small bedroom while they occupied the master, still paying rent on an apartment I couldn't occupy. My savings were nearly gone. Legal fees, rent, bills, groceries that Derek and Amanda ate without contributing. I'd become a prisoner in the house I'd tried to sell to escape. The isolation was suffocating. Janet wouldn't answer my calls. Brian blocked my number. My few remaining friends were awkward and distant, not sure what to believe. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating regularly, would stand in front of the bathroom mirror and not recognize the hollow-eyed woman staring back. Real depression was setting in. The kind that makes every movement feel like wading through mud. The kind that makes you wonder if fighting is worth it. Mr. Patterson called, angry and threatening. "Mrs. Hartford, I paid cash for that house. If you don't resolve this within the 30 days, I'm suing you for fraud. I'll take everything you have." "I'm trying," I whispered into the phone. "Try harder." Derek and Amanda continued living as if nothing had happened. They ordered takeout every night, watched movies, laughed, made plans. I'd hear them through the walls, living their lives, while mine fell apart. 10 days into the 30-day freeze, late at night, I was lying on the air mattress I'd bought to replace the bed they'd stolen. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. "Just so you know, once the 30 days are up, my lawyer is filing to have you declared incompetent. We'll get guardianship, reverse the sale, and you'll be in a nursing home where you can get the care you need. Should have just stayed quiet and let us live here. This is your own fault." I stared at the message until the words blurred. They were going to have me committed. Lock me away. Take control of my life, my money, my freedom, and according to Derek, it was my fault for daring to stand up for myself. I'd thought selling the house was my solution. Instead, I'd given Derek ammunition to destroy me completely. I sat up in the darkness, phone in my shaking hands, and realized I wasn't fighting for a house anymore. I was fighting for my life. Then my phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't Derek. It was a Facebook message from someone I didn't know. Troy Brennan. "Mrs. Hartford, you don't know me, but I'm your son's former coworker. I saw his social media posts about you and the house situation. I need to tell you something important. Derek is lying about everything. I have proof. Can we meet?" My heart stopped. I read it 3 times. With trembling fingers, I typed back, "Yes. Please. When?" "Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Sunrise Diner on Route 42. I'll bring everything I have." "Thank you," I wrote. "Thank you so much." "Derek destroyed my reputation when he got caught," Troy wrote. "I want him to face consequences. See you tomorrow." I lay back down, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than despair. Hope. Small and fragile, but there. Was this real? Was Troy genuine? Or was this another trap? Could I trust this stranger? I didn't know. But I had nothing left to lose. If there was even a chance that someone had evidence against Derek, I had to take it. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, Sunrise Diner. I set an alarm and tried to sleep, my mind racing with possibilities. I woke before the alarm, nerves jangling. 6 in the morning, and I was already dressed, already anxious. Derek and Amanda were still asleep in the master bedroom. I left the house quietly at 9:15, drove 2 towns over to Route 42, found the Sunrise Diner sitting between a hardware store and a laundromat. Troy Brennan was already there, sitting in a corner booth. Early 40s, thinning brown hair, nervous energy. He had a manila folder on the table in front of him. I slid into the booth across from him. "Thank you for meeting me. Mrs. Hartford, I'm sorry for what you're going through. And I'm sorry I'm only coming forward now. I should have done this sooner." He pushed the folder toward me. "Your son is a thief and a liar, and I can prove it." I opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside were documents. Official company letterhead. An employee termination letter dated 6 months ago. Derek Hartford, terminated for cause. Reason: embezzlement and financial fraud. Derek was stealing from the company, Troy explained quietly. He was the assistant controller, had access to client accounts. Over 8 months, he took almost $30,000, moved it through shell accounts, tried to make it look like accounting errors. But our CFO caught him. I stared at the letter, unable to breathe. The company gave him a choice, Troy continued. Face criminal prosecution or sign a settlement agreement to pay back $30,000 in 30 days and resign quietly. No criminal charges, no public record, but he'd be blacklisted in the industry. He pulled out another document. A settlement agreement, signed by Derek. I'm guessing he couldn't pay it back, Troy said. That's why he needed to stay in your house rent-free. That's why he fought so hard when you sold it. How do you have these documents? I asked. Troy's jaw tightened. Because Derek tried to frame me. When the CFO started investigating, Derek planted evidence suggesting I was involved. He sent emails from my computer, faked my signature on transfer forms. I almost lost my job. I almost went to prison for something I didn't do. His hands were fists on the table. My wife works in HR. She kept copies of everything, every piece of evidence that cleared me and proved Derek was solely responsible. We kept them in case Derek ever tried to retaliate. When I saw his social media posts painting himself as the victim, I couldn't stay silent anymore. I looked through the documents, emails from Derek's work account, bank transfer records, accounting ledgers, all showing Derek systematically stealing company money. There's more, Troy said. Amanda knows. She helped him. Look at the bank records. She was transferring money between their personal accounts to make it look like they had savings, preparing for when they'd need to show the repayment funds. She's complicit. I found those records too. Amanda's name on transfer forms, her signature on account applications. I started crying. Not from sadness, but from relief so intense it hurt. This proves everything, I whispered. This proves he needed my house. This proves his financial motive. Troy nodded. Use it. Take him down. He deserves it. I hugged this stranger across the diner table. Thank you. You have no idea what this means. I know exactly what it means. Derek destroyed my reputation. He made me look like a criminal. He needs to face consequences. Troy stood. Good luck, Mrs. Hartford. I hope you get your freedom back. I drove straight to Gregory Walsh's office, documents clutched to my chest like treasure. Gregory reviewed everything with widening eyes. This is perfect. This shows clear financial motive. This shows fraud. This completely undermines Derek's claim that he's a concerned son. He's a criminal who needs your house to avoid repaying his debt. Can we use this in court? Absolutely. These are official company documents. Troy would be a credible witness. And the timing is perfect because Dr. Bradley's report came back this morning. He pulled out another document. Dr. Bradley's psychiatric evaluation. Mrs. Allison Hartford shows no signs of mental illness, cognitive impairment, or diminished capacity. She is grieving the loss of her husband and the betrayal by her son, which are normal emotional responses to traumatic circumstances. She is fully competent to manage her affairs and make legal decisions. The statement captured on audio recording appears to be a momentary expression of emotional pain, not genuine suicidal ideation. I recommend immediate dismissal of the guardianship petition. I sobbed. Gregory handed me tissues. We have everything we need, he said. I'm filing an emergency motion to lift the asset freeze and dismiss Derek's petition. We have a hearing on Friday, 3 days from now. Hope surged through me like electricity. But that night, everything almost fell apart again. I came home to find Derek waiting in the kitchen. His eyes were cold and calculated. Mom, I know you met with someone today. Troy Brennan, right? My stomach dropped. How did he know? You think those documents matter? They don't. Troy is lying because I rejected him for a promotion years ago. He's bitter and vindictive. No judge will believe him over family. The documents are real, I said. Documents can be faked. And even if they're not, it doesn't matter. I've already talked to Uncle Brian and Aunt Janet. Tomorrow in court, they're all testifying about your mental instability. We'll bury you in family testimony. You'll never see freedom again. Amanda appeared beside him. You should have just let us stay, Mrs. Hartford. Now you're going to lose everything. They went to their bedroom and closed the door. I stood alone in the kitchen, my brief hope crumbling. Derek was right about one thing. Family testimony was powerful. The judge had already shown she was sympathetic to Derek. Would Troy's documents be enough? That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my air mattress, staring at the ceiling, praying for the first time in months. Please, I thought. Please let the truth win. Please let me be free. At 5 a.m, I was making coffee when I heard voices from the master bedroom. Derek and Amanda were fighting. Loudly. I shouldn't listen. I knew I shouldn't. But their voices carried through the thin walls. You promised if we did this, got rid of your mom, we'd have the house free and clear, Amanda was screaming. Now you're telling me we might still lose everything? And what's this about embezzlement, Derek? You told me that was a misunderstanding. Keep your voice down. You lied to me. We could go to jail for fraud. I'm not going down with you. Then leave. But if you testify against me, I'll make sure you get nothing in the divorce. You signed those bank forms too, remember? You're just as guilty. Their door opened. Amanda stormed out, saw me standing in the hallway with my coffee, froze. Our eyes met. Hers were filled with tears and rage. She went back into the bedroom. The fighting continued, lower now, but still audible. My phone was in my pocket. On impulse, hands shaking, I pulled it out, opened the voice recorder app, held it near their door. For 15 minutes, I recorded everything. Derek admitting the embezzlement was real. Admitting he lied to the court about my mental state. Admitting he and Amanda had planned to have me declared incompetent so they could control everything, including my social security checks. Amanda expressing shock, realizing she'd been manipulated, threatening to leave him. When they finally went quiet, I slipped back to the kitchen, my phone secure in my pocket. I had it, the confession. Derek's own voice admitting everything. Friday morning arrived. Today was the hearing. Today would decide everything. I dressed carefully. Navy blue slacks, a cream-colored blouse, Harold's wedding ring on a chain around my neck for courage. Gregory met me at the courthouse steps. Are you ready? I showed him my phone. I have something else. In his car, we listened to the recording. Gregory's eyes went wide. Did you get permission to record this? In this state, only one party needs to consent to recording. I consent to recording myself. Gregory grinned. You're brilliant. This is the final nail in the coffin. Let's go end this. The courtroom was packed again. Janet sat in the front row, looking grim and self-righteous. Brian and Susan beside her. Derek and Amanda sat with Patricia Rollins, their lawyer, looking confident and composed. But I noticed something. Amanda kept glancing at Derek with an expression I couldn't quite read. Uncertainty. Maybe even fear. Judge Martinez took her seat. We're here for the emergency motion regarding the guardianship petition and asset freeze. Mr. Walsh, you may proceed. Gregory stood. Your Honor, we have significant new evidence that completely changes the nature of this case. He presented Troy's documents first. The termination letter, the settlement agreement, the bank records. Explained Derek's embezzlement, the $30,000 debt, the financial motive for wanting to stay in Allison's house rent-free. Patricia objected. Your Honor, these documents are from a disgruntled former co-worker. There's no proof of their authenticity. These are official company records, Gregory countered. We can subpoena the company's CFO to verify them if needed. Judge Martinez reviewed the documents carefully. Her expression shifted from sympathetic to skeptical. Mr. Hartford, did you lose your job 6 months ago? Derek hesitated. In that hesitation, the truth was obvious. I resigned. he said finally. It was a mutual decision. That's not what these documents say. They say you were terminated for embezzlement. That's not true. We'll verify these documents, Judge Martinez said. Continue, Mr. Walsh. Gregory then presented Dr. Bradley's psychiatric evaluation. Read aloud her conclusion. Fully competent, no mental illness, momentary emotional distress. Mrs. Hartford is clearly capable of managing her own affairs, Gregory said. The guardianship petition is baseless. Patricia called her witnesses anyway. Janet testified about my supposed confusion. Brian described my paranoia. Susan talked about my poor judgment. Then Derek took the stand. He told his story again. The concerned son, the beloved mother who'd changed, the fear for my safety, the tears, the trembling voice. He was good, but Judge Martinez was watching him differently now, with suspicion instead of sympathy. Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand, placed my hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. Gregory asked me simple questions. I answered calmly, clearly, told the truth about Derek's cruelty, about being told I was a burden in my own house, about them stealing my furniture, about feeling trapped and desperate. Did you mean it when you said you wanted to die? Gregory asked. No. I was overwhelmed and hurt, and I said something I didn't mean. I've never had genuine suicidal thoughts. I want to live. I want to be free. Patricia cross-examined me, tried to make me seem unstable. But I stayed calm, answered every question honestly. Then Gregory said, Your Honor, we have one final piece of evidence. He held up my phone. This morning, Mrs. Hartford recorded a conversation between her son and his wife. I'd like to play it for the court. Patricia jumped up. Objection! That's inadmissible. That's a violation of privacy. In this state, Gregory said calmly, only one party needs to consent to recording. Mrs. Hartford consented to recording herself in her own hallway, in her own home. Judge Martinez considered. I'll allow it. Play the recording. The courtroom went silent. Derek's voice filled the room. Angry, aggressive, admitting the embezzlement was real, admitting he lied about my mental state, admitting he and Amanda planned to have me declared incompetent so they could control everything, including my Social Security income. Amanda's voice, shocked and furious, realizing she'd been manipulated. Derek's voice threatening her if she left him. The recording played for 8 minutes. When it ended, the silence was absolute. Judge Martinez looked at Derek. Not with sympathy anymore, with disgust. Mr. Hartford, did you lie to this court about your mother's mental capacity? Derek opened his mouth, closed it. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Your Honor, Patricia said, we request a recess to consult with our client. Denied. Mr. Hartford, answer the question. Derek's face had gone pale. I was concerned for my mother's well-being. That's not what I asked. Did you lie to this court? Silence. Judge Martinez's voice was ice. I've heard enough. The guardianship petition is dismissed with prejudice. The asset freeze is lifted immediately. Mrs. Hartford, you are free to complete your house sale and access your funds. The property legally belongs to Mr. Patterson as of 2 weeks ago. She turned to Derek. Mr. Hartford, you and your wife have 48 hours to vacate the property. If you fail to comply, I will issue a bench warrant for contempt of court. You are fortunate I'm not referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation of perjury. She slammed her gavel. Court is adjourned. The courtroom erupted. Janet stood, mouth open in shock. Brian and Susan looked uncomfortable, realizing they'd been manipulated. Patricia was gathering her papers quickly, distancing herself from Derek. Derek sat frozen, his carefully constructed lies shattered around him. Amanda stood and walked out without looking at him. I walked out of the courthouse into bright sunshine, Gregory beside me. You did it, he said, grinning. You're free. Outside, Janet approached me. Her face was conflicted, ashamed. Allison, I didn't know. I didn't know about the embezzlement. I didn't know he was lying. You didn't want to know, I said quietly. You chose to believe him without even listening to me. I'm sorry. I know. But sorry doesn't fix broken trust, Janet. It takes time. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Can we talk? Eventually? Maybe. When I'm ready. She walked away. Brian and Susan approached next, looking embarrassed. Aunt Allison, we're sorry. We should have listened to both sides. Yes, you should have. They left without another word. Amanda stood alone by her car. I walked over to her. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hartford, she said quietly. I didn't know about most of it. Derek lied to me too. I thought you really were having problems. I thought we were helping. That doesn't excuse how you treated me before any of this started, I said. But I hope you find your way. I hope you find someone who treats you better than Derek did. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'm filing for divorce. I'm leaving him. Good luck, Amanda. She drove away. Derek stood alone on the courthouse steps, staring at nothing. I could have said something to him, could have gloated or condemned him, but I didn't. I just walked past him to my car and drove away. Some people aren't worth your final words. Monday morning, Mr. Patterson took possession of the house. Derek and Amanda were gone. They'd left the place in terrible condition. Holes in the walls, broken windows, destroyed carpet, graffiti in the bathrooms. Mr. Patterson sighed, looking at the damage. Guess I've got some work to do. I'm so sorry, I said. Not your fault, Mrs. Hartford. He handed me the final paperwork and a check. This belongs to you. $325,000. Use it well. I deposited the check that afternoon, paid Gregory his remaining fees, paid off the apartment rent I owed, settled all my debts. I had $290,000 left. I moved into my one-bedroom apartment, small but peaceful, cream-colored walls, a view of the park, space that was mine alone. I bought a comfortable couch, a new bed, a small dining table, hung Harold's photo on the wall beside my parents' wedding picture, set my mother's jewelry box on the dresser. I sat in my quiet living room that first evening, cup of tea in my hands, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The next months were a revelation. I joined a book club at the library, started volunteering at the local food bank on Tuesdays and Thursdays, made new friends, women my age who treated me with respect and kindness. Troy and his wife Ellen invited me to dinner. We became genuine friends. They had me over for Sunday meals, included me in their lives. Troy joked that I was the mother-in-law he wished he'd had. I invested the money wisely, met with a financial advisor, set up accounts that would provide stable income for the rest of my life. I'd never be rich, but I'd never struggle either. I started going back to church. Not the old church where everyone had believed Derek's lies, but a new congregation where no one knew my story, where I could start fresh. Janet called one afternoon, 3 months after the trial. Allison, can we talk? Really talk? We met for coffee. She apologized genuinely, explained that Derek had always been her favorite nephew, that she'd been blind to his faults. She asked for forgiveness. I forgive you, I told her, but our relationship can't go back to what it was. You hurt me, Janet. You chose Derek's lies over my truth. That leaves scars. I understand, she said. But maybe we can build something new? Maybe. With time. We were rebuilding slowly, carefully, with boundaries in place. I even started dating. His name was Frank Coleman, a widower I met at church. 71 years old, kind eyes, gentle sense of humor. We went for coffee dates, took walks in the park. Nothing serious, just companionship. Someone to talk to who actually listened. Life was good, quiet, simple, mine. 6 months after the trial, I received an email from Derek. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. Mom, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything between us. Amanda left me. I lost my apartment. I'm living with a friend, working as a cashier at a grocery store, trying to pay back the money I stole. I'm in therapy twice a week. The therapist is helping me understand what I did to you. How entitled I was. How cruel. I treated you like you existed to serve me. I took everything you gave and demanded more. When you finally stood up for yourself, I tried to destroy you. I'm not asking you to forgive me, or help me, or even respond to this. I just need you to know that you were right to fight back. You were right to sell the house. You were right to choose yourself. I'm sorry, Mom, for all of it. I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. Love, Derek. I sat with the email for a long time, read it multiple times, felt a complicated mix of emotions, sadness, anger, a tiny spark of hope that maybe someday, my son would become someone I could respect. But I didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because forgiveness is a process, not a light switch. And my peace didn't depend on reconciliation with Derek. It depended on me knowing my worth and protecting it. I printed the email, filed it away, and went about my day. That evening, I sat in my apartment with a cup of tea, looking out at the park where children were playing, their laughter drifting through my open window. I thought about everything that had happened, the pain, the betrayal, the fight, the victory, and I realized something profound. Sometimes the people we love most will hurt us deepest. Sometimes family means sacrifice, but it should never mean accepting abuse. I spent so many years believing that being a good mother meant giving everything, accepting anything, staying silent when I was hurt. That night, when Derek said he was tired of me, something broke inside me. But something else awakened too. A strength I didn't know I still had. By selling that house, by fighting for my freedom, I taught Derek a lesson he needed to learn. I taught him that people have limits. That kindness without boundaries becomes enabling. That love doesn't mean tolerating cruelty. I was 65 years old when I started over. 65 when I found the courage to choose myself. And if I can do it, anyone can. Your dignity matters. Your peace matters. Your self-respect matters. It's never too late to fight for yourself. It's never too late to say enough. It's never too late to start over. Don't wait for permission to choose yourself. Don't wait for someone else to value you before you value yourself. Know your worth and protect it fiercely. That's not selfish. That's survival. That's self-preservation. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself. I'm 65 years old, living in a small apartment, with a handful of new friends and a quiet, peaceful life. I've never been happier, because I finally learned that home isn't a building. Home isn't where your family lives. Home is wherever you find peace, dignity, and respect. Home is wherever you feel safe being yourself. And I'm finally home. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Have you ever had to choose yourself over people you love? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real stories about real people facing real challenges. And share this with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to choose themselves, that it's okay to set boundaries, that it's never too late to start over. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're facing, you remember your worth, you remember your strength, and you remember that you deserve peace. Take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves, and never forget, you matter.